So Zok the Gemara, the Shalchal Lavud the Shmuel. Hang Toiri, these oxen, what would they do with these oxen? So Tosfos has one shot, which is not the Pashat shot, but look at Tosfos' shot. The gun Vilu that are stolen by Goyim. So Zok Tosfos, B'Sheiltes, the Rab Achoy, Mefarish, what does this mean? They're stolen by Goyim. So you koishrim dinner bekishal behema bechazaka. They used to do this Chinese punishment. They would take a gold dinner of value and they would tie it very tightly around the crown jewels of an animal. The hanochri goyin for dinner. It's like bait. The nochri would want to steal the dinner, so he would grab the dinner and yank it, and that would have the effect of being misaris the animals. There was a benefit to the owner to have an animal that's misuris because it plows better, it'll work better. But you're not allowed to be misaris an animal. So this way, the Yid was able to orchestrate or cause that the animal should be misuris. But I don't like that pshat zok the Tosfos because veloshin ganvin lehu loy mashmachi. It's much they steal the entire animal, but here shalai boin elavnik they rak hadinner. So what did they do? Again, this is like a kanunya to get the animal to be misuris without the Yid being over. So the Sholchol Lavud the Shmuel Halam Toiri the ganvin. So let's go on. The ganvin armoy goyim steal them. Umenakin Yosain, and they're misaris them. And Rashi says, the then they give it back. In other words, they weren't really stealing it, they were just going through the motions. Why did the guy do it? The guy is trying to do a Yid a favor. And the guy is misaris at Kadesh Yafa Lacharisha. So this is done, it's wrong, that's done, it's sort of orchestrated. How should we treat it? Mahu. Shalach lahu ha'arama is avid b'hu. These people made a trick to get around the isser of being masarish an animal. We're going to pull a trick and not allow them to benefit from it. Arimu alayu v'yizdavnun. We're going to force them to sell it and not benefit. Rashi Yisrael ba'aveira. The Yisrael should not benefit from it. In other words, who also? Kidei sheyafa lachrish lefichach yikansu shelo yachish. That's a very good point. Hold on a second. Alma be'isr delav nami asura amir nachri. So we've proven our point that there is an isra of amir nachri, even if it's only an isra lav, because this series is only an isra lav. So going back to disha, there should be the same problem. Frank Dovi, why would we allow him to sell it? He's benefiting from a more valuable animal. So there's one sheet who holds that maybe we don't let him sell it, but the other sheet holds that we let him sell it. You know why? Because at least he can't use it. And that's what the Gemara is going to discuss this in just a moment. Amar Papa, the name Marava Sarila, the people of Marava who asked the Shaila if you're allowed to do this, they hold like a Bchitka, the Omar B'nei Noach Mitzuvin ala Siris. They hold that it's also for B'nei Noach to do Siris. So by you allowing the guy to do this, because Avri Mishum V'lifnei Iver L'Shit Michshal, and that's why there's a problem over here. I'm not sure. But it's also for them to do, and therefore it'll be a issue of lifnei either. But we don't necessarily hold like that. We might hold that there's no issue at all for a guy to do serious. It's like me telling a guy to eat nevela. There's no issue. So it could be according to us, this won't be a problem at all.
Our perspective or their own courts?
No, it's also not Torah for them. They're not allowed to, so we're being machshalam and there. You want to know where the Shevim says? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, so Dr. Gemara, Sava Rava Lameimar. So Rava thought Yimkur L'Shchita. They have to sell it, but they're not allowed to sell it to somebody who's going to use it to plow with because he'll benefit, as Dovi asked. You're allowed to sell it to a shlachtois who will only pay its value for meat. So you didn't benefit at all from this avera. Amalei Abaye, no, dayin shekanasta alayim mechira. It's good enough that they're not going to be able to use it for their own purposes and they have to sell it, but we're not going to count to them from that added value that they got for it. Zok Gemara, Pshita b'noi gado ki achadon. If you tell your son, who's an adult, to do an avera, there's no isser on you. He's an adult, right? And he made his own decision. But b'noi katan mai, what would be if he had his young son, his katan, do something? Rab Achi Osar, Rab Asher Shari. It's a machlokes if that would have been allowed to do. Mereimar Marzutra. V'amri lo hanu trei chasidi. Either it was Merei Marazut who do this, or two other tzaddikim, machalfe adadi. They would, if Lavada, they wouldn't do this on purpose. But if a goy would be misarish their animals, they really there's no issue at all. The only time it's a that they have to sell it is if they did it on purpose, right? But they didn't do it on purpose. These are tzaddikim. But what happens if that happened without their will? They still wanted to be nucky. So what they would do is instead of selling it, they would trade. So I sold mine and you sold yours. I think it means a cotton would not be mukhliv in this. So the question is,
there's a stage of we say bardas or not bardas.
I'm not sure. I think it just means because you're not mechuyev mitzvahs. Boy, Rami Bar Chum. What happens if hoishiv lakoitz befia? You didn't put a muzzle on. You put a thorn in its mouth, in its tooth that made it so painful that it will not eat. Mahu. What's Allah? What do you mean? Hoishiv lachasim mal Yosy. Doesn't literally mean you're putting on a mask. It could mean anything that you're going to do to prevent the animal from eating. What if something got into the animal's tooth? The animal's in great pain and it won't eat. Are you mukhif to take it out? Mahu. Or hirbits lo ari mi b'chutz. Right outside the field, you put a line there which makes the bull so afraid it's not going to eat. Frank Demar, the same thing. Hirbits lo chasimim mal Yosy. That's mamish like a chasima. If an ari just sat there, then you have to scare it away. Hamid benot mi b'chutz. What if you put the child of the parah outside? Now the animal is thinking about its child. It's going to be distracted. It won't be able to eat. Mao. Now here there's a shaila. The Gemara doesn't say Hamid you did it for Yadayim, because could be that's not as bad a distraction to stop the animal from eating. The Gemara is clearing maybe that would be mutter even to do Yadayim. Right? It was very thirsty, and since it was very thirsty, it was not able to eat. How about Harish Lokatavlaya al Gabedisha Mao? What if you took a big tarp and you covered over the disha? So the animal doesn't even see the food. It's walking on a tarp, and under the tarp it's getting crushed. Is that going to be a problem? Zok Gemara, we have three shilas and we don't have a terrace for them, but Pshoit Meha Chada. Let's see if we can bring a brayso at least to clarify one of the three questions that were asked. The Tanya, Reshoy Bal Para Laharif Parasoi Kadesh Toichel Munadisha Harbe. If I'm renting out my animal, someone else is going to use it to thresh, I'm allowed to starve my animal, so my animal will eat a lot from my client's property. But that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on this line. Reshoy Bal Abayis Lahatir Pekia Amir Fnei Behema Kadesh Toichel Munadisha. The Balabais is allowed to open up a thing of straw and cover over his thresh. So he had a lot of grain to thresh, and he covers it over with straw. So the animal is still walking on it, but it's mamish like covering it over with a tarp. And this way the animal will eat straw and won't eat expensive grain. So you're allowed to do that. So you have a raya that you're allowed to spread a tarp over it, and that was the Gemara's attempt to bring a raya to Shaila of Parish La Katavlaya. So it's more no shiny hosam. At least it's eating straw, but a tarp is not eating anything. Because you're preventing it from eating the disha.
Straw, because it's inferior to the actual.
That's right. You're preventing him from eating the main stuff. Or Rishoy Balabais Lahater Piki Amr Lefnei Behema Meikara Kadesh Disha. What it means is before the Balabais starts the threshing operation, he puts the animal into a room full of straw, let the animal it'll be full, and then will eat less dishes. That's right. Rabbi Yonasan asked the following shayla Rabbi Shimon. What if you didn't put the chesima on in the field before you took the animal into the field, into the threshing grounds? That's when you put the chesima on. Ma, what's Allah? Shor b'dishay amar rachmana by la b'dishay. It says don't put a chesima on when it's threshing. It's not threshing yet. Aydilma loy sidosh b'chesima amar rachmana. The pasuk means don't make the animal thresh when it's prevented from eating. Amar he told him, Mi beis avicha atalomed. So Reb Shimon, I guess, was a kohen, and he told Reb Shimon, you should know from your father's household. We used to have a shaila in yeshiva Chayiv inish levasume bepur yad layada. Does that mean you're supposed to get drunk on Purim? Or that means there's a mitzvah to be drunk on Purim, meaning you have to start drinking before Purim, so you should be drunk all Purim, right? So that's the same shal they had. Yain v'sheicher al taste. A kohen is not allowed to drink wine. Ata uvanecha itcha b'vayachem al kodesh. So what does that mean? B'vayachem u'da'aser. It's only also to drink when you come into the base of mikdash. Hamishtu me'al shari, but you're allowed to drink before you go in. The Torah says regarding this halacha, you have to separate between kodesh and chayil. In other words, Dr. Rashi, and therefore, if you drank before you walk in, he's still shikr v'lo yeda lahavdil. Just like by the Isser for a kohen to drink wine, b'shas bia loite shikros, there should be no shikros in him when he comes in, meaning he's not even allowed to drink before. Hachanami b'shas disha loite chasima, and the vada you're not allowed to put on the chasima even before the animal goes into the arena. Taner Rabbanim, hachoysim is a par, somebody who muzzles an animal, and someone who puts two animals together. Now, he didn't do the Averia because he was choisim the para, but he's not doing the disha. Somebody else is going to do the disha. Or he tied two animals to a wagon, but he didn't lead the wagon. So he set it up, but he didn't do the Averia potter. The person who's actually doing the threshing when it's muzzled, the person who's actually being manig, these two animals that are climb, he's the one who's like. Itmar, chasma b'koil. What if you, every time the animal went down to eat, you said, oh, so you scared the animal away with your voice. Or v'nhiga b'koil, or you had two animals that were climb and you use your voice to make them move. Would that be nisr? Rabbi Yochanan amar chayiv, Reish Lakish amar potter. Rabbi Yochanan amar chayiv because akimas piv have a maisa. It's a maisa, moving your lips and speaking is a maisa enough that you'll get malchus. Shlokish amar potter, kala lo have a maisa. Merely a voice saying something is not a maisa. Kicking is a maisa. We're talking about just saying go.
Yeah, so kicking is for sure worse. Right?
That's right.
Let you know how to kick the horse to go.
If it's harnessed to an animal that's a different animal that's climb, no, you wouldn't be allowed to. We're talking about either climb or disha. Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan l'Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan is going to ask a kasha of Reish Lakish to prove that moving your mouth is a ma'aseh. Now the halacha is you're not allowed to make tamura, but if you make tamura, it works. So the Brisa says, Loisha Adam Rashai Lahamir. Of course, a person is not allowed to make tamura. El Shehim Im Hamer, if you did it, mumar, it will work. So the problem is, you see clearly someone's getting malchus from merely saying the words. Harezu tamurazu. There's no ma'aseh. So you see, merely speaking is an action that you can get malchus for. Amalei Reish Lakish answered, Hamani Rabbi Yehudi. That's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. Domer lav shein b'ma'aseh loiken alav. Maybe that's speaking according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds you don't need a lav shein b'ma'aseh. If a lav shein b'ma'aseh get loiken alav, so yes, even speech will do it. Frank the Gemara umim matis mukumas lak Rabbi Yehuda. But the ratio of the same brisa says hakoil mamirin echad ha'anoshim ve'echad anoshim. But we asked the kasha of this brisa. Hakoil asuyimai. What do you mean hakoil? Anyone could make tamura. Who are we adding besides noshim and anoshim? The Gemara lasuya yirish. The yirish of a carbon. So his father was makish a carbon. He died. Now the yirish has his carbon. He can also make a tamura. Udaloik Rabbi Yehuda. This would not be consistent with Rabbi Yehuda. Dik Rabbi Yehuda ha'amar yirish ene meimer. Yirish ene saimer. So the problem is, how could you say that this price is going according to Rabbi Yehuda? And that's why, even though it's a lav shein by Maisa, you get malchus. Clearly, Rabbi Yehuda argued on this price because he disagrees with another halach in this price. So you're right. It's not Rabbi Yehuda. It's a third Tana. Hi Tana. It's a Tana who likes Rabbi Yehuda's halacha when it comes to lav shein by Maisa, but when it comes to the halacha of what Tamur applies to, there he argues. Okay, we'll